So you're in Colorado.
Yeah, I'm in Colorado, Fort Garland Museum, which is actually in a very small town. Here in Colorado, it's like 600 people population. And they are bringing the arts back into small towns with this event called Future Town Tours, where they're basically taking these like small unforgotten towns and just imagining um a bigger future for them. Like small towns sometimes they get forgotten. um so yeah, I was booked to come out here and perform with my band, and it was like an extremely beautiful experience. It rained here, which is odd because it doesn't typically rain out here. It's usually very dry. So I feel like yeah, it was very special and magical. Um yeah.
And you're flying back to Baltimore later today, is that right?
Yes, I have an 8 a.m. flight actually. So we up early anyway, which is why I wanted to knock out this interview with you.
I mean, credit to you for being so talkative this early in the morning. I couldn't do it.
No, I feel you. I typically get up pretty early, so I was like, why not?
You're an early riser.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
typically like 4:30 for me.
wow.
Get a good workout in. Yeah.
I know people who
Yeah.
don't go to bed until around that time.
Right. I literally was just talking to my bandmate about that. He was saying he doesn't really go to bed till like super late. But I go to bed early, so I'm in bed at like 9 if I can.
If
Yeah.
kicks allow it.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so we'll take things right back to the beginning. So you were born in Baltimore,
Yep.
and I read on your website that you had this kind of dual upbringing where there was like two massive influences. Where obviously there's the religious side, and then I think the phrase that you used in your biography was street life in
Yeah.
Baltimore. And how did that kind of, what was the tension between those two? Like, how did that influence you growing up?
Um, I wouldn't say it was tension. It was just like definitely duality there. So I would go to church throughout the week, but I also would be like um surrounded by, the street life in the hood, the neighborhood that I was living in. Um yeah, it's just in West Baltimore, actually where I'm from, it's it's just inevitable to be exposed to like certain things. Um and yeah, growing up, I just seen a lot. So, whether it be like, drugs being sold in front of my face, transactions, or, um, people being killed, or uh, abnormal amount of funerals I had to attend. Um, and just like the, the, the will to survive, like just seeing and experiencing like people around me. My dad, he's a preacher in the church, but it's not definitely wasn't like one of them like mega churches where like got the big house, and we were definitely still like knee deep in the hood growing up. So I was able to just see like both sides like that. Both being on both sides, like being a person who kind of like needed help and assistance and guidance, and also being the person who understood enough to be of service and help and assistance and guidance to people who may have been like less fortunate around me. Um, but yeah, that balance kind of created in me a very unique perspective of life. Yeah.
Is it, do you think without the church and without the sort of positive influence of that community, the other side, the street life as you called it, it would have had a more pulling in effect towards you, do you think, the way it might do to other people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think if I wasn't if I wasn't so um if my foundation wasn't the church, I would probably be like the biggest drug dealer in America or something. I don't know. Yeah, like yeah, I don't know. It definitely had a a positive effect on my life. Even when I think about like the school systems, um, I was fortunate enough to attend school across town from where I live, whereas though most people went to like the zone school, and I could just see like the difference in like opportunity that I received just being able to step outside of my hood um every day of the week and travel and meet people from across town and make those vital connections. It's a big difference.
It must be because it's hard to imagine for someone in the UK because obviously as a country we have problems. We wouldn't deny that, and I don't think anybody in the UK right now would deny that we've got problems. But the extremes that we have here compared to the extremes that you see in America, it's kind of unimaginable, really. The fact that as you said, that just going across town and it's a totally different world.
Yeah, it's but the thing about Baltimore is like it's kind of it's all over the way that the streets work is like Baltimore is just a very hood city. Like it's a gotta get it, grinding, hustle. Yeah, so it's like if no matter like where um you are in Baltimore, you kind of are subjected to a bit of uh the street life here in Baltimore, like even if you live in like
A relatively affluent area, it still
yeah,
creeps in.
yeah, it just creeps in. I feel like it's just kind of like a part of the culture here in Baltimore. And it's a part and some you just kind of like have to adapt in a sense to like what's happening around you, or you'll become a victim of it in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, like just being able to, even if I'm stepping outside of my hood and going to somebody else's space, being able to make those connections just kind of expanded my world a little bit, even though where they are, they might still be experiencing the same thing that I could be experiencing over here. But it's like I'm seeing more, I'm understanding more, I'm learning how to interact with certain situations and certain people more. And it's just opening my world a little bit. Whereas though we got people in my neighborhood that have never left the neighborhood itself. You know what I mean? Like, imagine not even you like can't even imagine like leaving the state or the country, but like not even leaving like your neighborhood. Is like that's the reality for some people.
Sort of leads to a feeling of entrapment.
Yeah, or entrapment and not even being aware that you're entrapped. Just like existing and surviving off of what you've known.
And when did music start to become a big part of your life?
Music has always been a part of my life. Uh, one sec.
Hey again.
Sorry about that.
No
Yeah,
worries.
my dad was calling me. We actually are preparing to head to my aunt's funeral in South Carolina as soon as I get back home.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
so yeah, it was wild. So the second I got on the plane for coming to this event in Colorado, for that it was a literally an ancestors tour. I got a call as at the baggage claim that my aunt passed away,
Oh,
and
really?
so it was like crazy alignment. And then while I'm at the event, I got another call that she didn't want to be outside of the ground longer than 3 days once she passed. So her funeral is literally Saturday, this coming Saturday, like tomorrow.
And you're in a different state.
Yeah, so as soon as I get back home, I gotta hit to South Carolina. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. But what was your question
Music.
about music? Yes. So I started singing in the church super young. Probably as early as I could walk, they put me like on the choir to stand and sing. Um, so I started there, and then as I grew older, my brother was also heavy into music, so he's done a lot of things. He's collaborated with like the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra and like a bunch of different things. So like a part of me was kind of inspired by him, definitely. And my family, I come from a family of singers. Um, so I've been singing like since I can remember. Like I come from the type of family where it's like every family function, we're singing spirituals or some sing along or is there's definitely a song involved no matter what the occasion is. It could be a funeral, birthday, uh family reunion, graduation, um basketball game on the way home, like we're singing a song together. So that's kind of like it's kind of in me. um but when I got older, I started curating events for musicians in my city because it just wasn't anything like available for people to really get out there and express their art. So I started curating events, and that just kind of led to me being connected to a bunch of different artists. I would just like help artists write songs here and there. Like my friends, like, I've always had like a good ear for like what sounds good and what doesn't. So I would just kind of like chime in, but I never really like taking it professional. Um and then the pandemic hit in 2020. I was a performing arts teacher at a school in Baltimore for children with autism, which I really, really, really enjoyed. But when the pandemic hit, of course, the arts was the first thing to go because we went from in school learning to online virtual learning. So lost my job, And I had also lost like three people in the beginning of that year. So I felt like the only thing I had was like music to help me like cope and release. So I ended up creating a full project called Vacants. Um, just like reflecting on Baltimore, which is we have like a we have like a vacant house epidemic in Baltimore. It's like 15,000 vacant homes in Baltimore. And Baltimore is like a super small city. So if you ever come to visit and you're just riding, like you is inevitable for you to not for you to see like a vacant like rows of vacant houses. And that in conjunction with me like losing um a good amount of family members and friends during that time, just like the vacancies from spirit and body, like just me kind of connecting those two things. I just created a project to release and it ended up doing pretty well. And from there, I just been creating music ever since.
Was it something that resonated with people in Baltimore? Because obviously you're tackling the housing issue and various other things head on.
Yeah, it was definitely something that resonated with people in Baltimore. I ended up getting like Baltimore's best new artist and ended up singing for the Orioles, the national anthem for the Orioles, and just like a bunch of amazing things. I feel like the city really took to it, but also during I released it during the pandemic where there was a shutdown. Everyone was inside. Literally nothing was going on in the city, and I took my band and we did like a street corner tour. Like we took it back to like the 60s and the 70s when they would be like on the corners like doo-wopping and singing.
Is that the one that's on
Um
YouTube? Like the tour highlights reel?
yeah, so yeah, exactly. So we just literally went to different corners in Baltimore. And I felt like the people needed that music. They needed something, you know what I mean? Like we were just the whole city was shut down. It was a lockdown, literally nothing to do. Some people were out, some people were in their house, but that it also gave people a reason to get back outside and connect with each other. And the turnout was beautiful. Like yeah, we had like people coming up to us on the street that really resonated with the music. Um, and that felt really good to be uh just to have had created a body of work for myself for the release of something that I was experiencing internally and to have like people also um relate and appreciate it in a way in which like they needed it at the moment.
And to talk about the style of music as well for a minute, because there's a bit of a jazz undercurrent in a lot of your
Yeah.
songs. Baltimore's big on jazz, isn't it? Is that where your love of jazz came from? Is it literally from growing up in such a jazz steeped city?
Yeah, I honestly don't know where my love of jazz came from. I feel like it's like somewhere in my DNA, like to just like some way I'm just drawn to it. I have like a very gospel background and they are although they different, they definitely feed off each other, gospel and jazz music. Um so yeah, but I don't know like where I fell in love with jazz at, but it's definitely jazz undertones throughout the entire project. And I also connected with um a few musicians here in Baltimore who are like brilliant on the jazz scene here in Baltimore. So yeah, it just kind of called for this combination of sound: jazz, gospel, soul, little poetry, hip hop. Yeah,
And you're a big collaborator, obviously, with other people. It's like the band's not just like a closed circle. You've is it Josh Stokes?
yeah, yep. Josh Stokes, he's actually here with me now. In Colorado, we just performed. Yes, Josh Stokes, he's been my drummer for a very long time, for about 5 or 6 years. Um, but yeah, he also it's interesting because each member of my band also has music of their own, and which is like phenomenal even outside of like what we create together. So yeah, it's definitely collaborative. um us kind of bringing our sounds together in a sense. And Josh also grew up in the church, so we kind of connect in that way and relate sonically to the roots of like gospel music.
That's cool. So when you released the album, and obviously people of Baltimore took to it, as we said. Did you have any plans to take it further afield? Like I know obviously you're in Colorado right now. Have you toured anywhere else?
I haven't yet. I haven't, but I do plan on touring. I actually have like a few shows come up, a few inquiries for shows out of town, and I'm excited to like, you know, keep it moving outside of the city. Yeah.
And I guess as well, I mean, I know obviously the problems that do affect Baltimore seems to be spreading wider across the US as well. It's not restricted to Baltimore. Sadly, it seems to
Absolutely.
be.
We're definitely not an island when it comes to the issues that I speak on. You got Detroit, um, and a bunch of other cities who also face the vacant house issues. But yeah, like even in Colorado here, like the reason that they were having the event um definitely resonates with the same issues that we have in Baltimore, and this is like all the way across, you know, the country. Like, and we're all facing the same things, like literally the same issues just happening countrywide.
I
It's
guess it's almost like a scaled up version of your early experiences going across Baltimore. You know, from one neighborhood to the next, you think, oh, okay, same problems seem to be present here. And then here you are traveling state to state and seeing actually, it's not even just neighborhood to neighborhood, it's countrywide.
yeah, countrywide and even worldwide.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a tough time for a lot of people, I think.
it truly is. And I feel like my purpose is to um reconcile that that grief with sound and music. Um, yeah,
But then also to have fun doing it, as you said about the street
yeah,
gigs.
we have so much fucking fun. Yeah, we have a ball. Um, yeah, yeah. I think the music performing like is my fun. Like this is my fun. This is my, as much as it is professional, is it's just as much recreational for me. Like this is to come out here, like this is like vacation vibes. for me. Yeah.
And yet it's your job.
Yes, and I still get paid, and I still, get to connect and reach the people and do the work that I was placed on this earth to do. Yeah, truly blessed.
And it's not just music either, is it? You've been involved in various sort of visual arts, and fashion is a big thing for you as well.
Yes. So I actually started creatively. I started taking pictures. So I started taking pictures of my family. So I would be like the family photographer at any event that we had. Oh, should I take pictures? Come take pictures. I need you to take pictures. It's a wedding. It's a birthday party. It's something. So that's where I started creatively. And then in high school, I had this clothing line called Wardrobe, um, which did really, really, really well. I made a bunch of money as a high school
I was going to say high
student.
school.
Yeah, it did really well.
That shows
And
a lot
that,
of entrepreneurship at a very early age to be thinking about a clothing brand as early as high school.
yeah, I would like sew the clothes up myself, cut and sew myself. I would have like graphic tees, embroidered sweatshirts. Um, and I went to Western High School, which is a school known for our fashion shows. Um, so that was kind of like perfect alignment. Like, all right, I'm going to the school known for it was an all girls school. Um, and we was a school in the city where like everybody knew, oh, you're a Western girl, you fly, So it was like that definitely helped propel like the clothing brand, but I that the clothing turned into me curating events to sell the clothing. And then that morphed into me realizing that like these experiences that I'm creating are much greater than this clothing brand. Like the artists and creatives in a city, like they need these spaces, like outside of me, trying to um produce an event to sell my clothing. Like these spaces are necessary. So that turned into me creating collaborative events where artists would come together and collaborate on artwork and network. And it just ended up building a very unique organic community amongst artists from all across the city. And that turned into me producing music events. And then me producing music events turned into me being surrounded by so many musicians and artists and me being inspired to create music myself. So it's just kind of like it's all like interdisciplinary and intertwined like within each other. Um, the different realms of art, whether it be visual, film. Like I was taking my own pictures for like photo shoots of the clothing, creating my own videos for promotional videos and things. So that just kind of turned into me just creating whatever I felt the need to create. Honestly, just being a vessel, honestly, letting the creation flow through me. And yeah,
What's the if you had to sum up your overall objective or goal as an artist across all mediums, whether it's visual, sound, whatever it might be, what is it you'd say you're trying to do?
I think what my goal is to make clear the connections that we all have to each other in some sort of way, um, whether it be through music or connecting like minds at events, or uncommon, bringing the least likely people together, finding that one connecting piece that brings them. It's almost like defying like gravity for me, like the law of attraction, like attracts like. um but honestly and truthfully, we all have something in common, like even you being from the UK, like, you know what I mean, like how are we here now? There's something that's connecting. There's some connecting element, and I think that my purpose is to um cultivate those connections in some way through art, creation, music.
One of the things I've discovered doing this is that it doesn't matter if I'm speaking to somebody who lives in Copenhagen or somebody who's from Glasgow or somebody who's from Baltimore. I keep hearing the same themes come up, and they might be said in different ways. The experiences that have led them to that point might be totally different. Like everyone's got different problems.
Mm.
But the way that people, I don't know, I'm starting to realize how similar people can be. How
Yeah.
varied their backgrounds can be, but then how similar their approach to life can be at certain points. The way that they face problems and the way they seek refuge from them. It's really interesting. It's one of the reasons why I do this. It's one of the reasons why, I try and look as far outside of Manchester as possible.
Yeah, it's like, what is life? Like we all are kind of like going for very similar things. Like we need love, we need connection. Um, we need the means to express. Yeah, what is life? That's I feel like that's we literally all require the same things no matter where we are from in the world. Um, yeah, and gratefully music has um fulfilled those desires within me.
So, what's your next big project? Have you got anything in the pipeline? Have you got anything in mind?
Yes. So I have a few projects. I want to release some more music. Um, but outside of that, I've been working on this festival called the Alpha Female Festival, which just celebrates like women creatives, artists, entrepreneurs in Baltimore. But I want to, develop that in my city in collaboration with the actual city, and then eventually allow that to branch off into different states and even different countries. Um, so that's that. And I'm also the event that I told you where I connect artists and creatives. 2022, no, 2021 would have been the no, 2020 actually would have been the 10th year of me producing that event. But once everything shut down, we had to cancel the event. So I'm working on producing that 10th anniversary and having some amazing fashion related artists and creatives come out. So it's gonna feel like a big reunion almost. Over the years, I've had different artists from all over the world, kind of like I was bringing people into Baltimore to experience the city, and for the city to experience, exposing Baltimore to creators from all over the world. So we had I don't know if you are familiar, but like back in the day, D and Ricky, have you ever heard of D and Ricky? They did like a bunch of designs and stuff for Chanel. Super creative twin duo dynamic. And like a bunch of different artists from all over the world. I would bring them to Baltimore. So I'm working on a reunion type, just like closing out that experience for the 10th year um, here in Baltimore. And just more music, more love, more connections. Yeah.
Do you feel like the city of Baltimore, as a not the people, I mean the the local government as an institution, do they support, do they help, and do they try and encourage what you're doing?
Yeah, me personally, yes. I think that they have been I think they are finally seeing how important the artists are to Baltimore and how vital it is to have creatives in the city and what we kind of bring to the city. I think like Baltimore without the artists would be nothing. So I think the city has been doing a better job at trying to um, fund artists and putting artists in position to um, create spaces um, and interactions for the city itself. Not only just for the city, but also to bring people to tourists to the city to see Baltimore for what it is for a long time. I don't know, and you have you seen The Wire?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like for a long time we were known for The Wire and still known for The Wire, but like once you get under that layer, like it's so much art.
Would you say The Wire is an accurate depiction, or is it dramatized? Is it exaggerated?
I can't say it's exaggerated. Um, I will say that it's one-sided for sure. Um, but yeah, definitely, even in some cases, it can be worse than The Wire. Um, but yeah, that's definitely just like one side of the city where,
Right, right.
people kind of take that and run with it without, diving into these other sides of Baltimore.
The artistic side, as you said.
Yeah.
We saw a similar thing here in the UK. As you said, when the pandemic hit, arts was like the first thing to go out the window. It was like, we haven't got time for this. There's a pandemic, and they just
It's not important. Yeah. But imagine life without music. Imagine life without being able to express yourself creatively, artistically. It would call for so much more crime, so much more poverty, depression. Like the art is just as important as anything else.
I think it was Conan O'Brien. He
Hmm.
said when the pandemic hit, like all these musicians and all these artists were suddenly like bottled up in their own home, and they were kind of forced to work on their craft and perfect what they had, what they had to do behind closed doors. And he said, when this pandemic's over, he was talking a few years ago, we're going to see like an explosion of culture.
Yes.
And I think someone like you is a classic example of that, because you've got this album that you were working on through the lockdown, through the pandemic, and now it's out there. And now that people can mingle again and people can meet up and people can do what they do, you're able to literally take it out on the road and literally put it out on the streets and connect with people. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And we just scratching the surface. we're literally just scratching the surface. I feel like the people that need to hear um this project. Yeah, my dad's calling me again. I feel like the people we haven't even scratched the surface of like the people that would get healing from this project. So I'm looking forward to um just sharing it more with people that feel like they might need it.
All right. Well, I know you've got a flight to catch, so I'll let you go. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate you having me.
It's been
Um,
really interesting. Thank you.
question: how did you find out? How did you find me? Like, what?
Um, I actually searched upcoming artists in Baltimore, and your
Oh
name was
wow,
like, I don't think your name came up in just one place. I think your name kept coming up. So I was like, okay, let's see what's
wow,
going on here. So, if that's not proof that people are starting to pay attention, then I don't know what is.
wow. That's love. Yeah, thank you so much. It's early. I'm probably gonna try to take like a 30-minute nap before we before we head to the airport. But
Yeah, not
yeah,
many podcasts happen at 5 a.m. This is why.
yeah, I hope that we connect in some way in the future. Maybe when I come to the UK,
Yeah, if you ever come to the UK, let me know. I'll show you where to play in Manchester.
for sure.
All right, have a good flight.
All right, peace. You enjoy the rest of your day.